There Perimedes and Eurylochus held the victims, but I drew my sharp sword from my thigh and dug a pit, as it were a cubit in length and breadth, and about it poured a drink offering to all the dead, first with mead, and thereafter with sweet wine, and for the third time with water. And I sprinkled white meal thereon, and entreated with many prayers the strengthless heads of the dead, and promised that on my return to Ithaca I would offer in my halls a barren heifer, the best I had, and fill the pyre with treasure, and apart unto Teiresias alone sacrifice a black ram without spot, the fairest of my flock. But when I had besought the tribes of the dead with vows and prayers, I took the sheep and cut their throats over the trench, and the dark blood flowed forth. And lo, the spirits of the dead that departed gathered them from out of Erebus, brides and youths unwed, and old men of many evil days, and tender maidens with grief yet fresh at heart. And many there were wounded with bronze-shod spears, men slain in fight with their bloody mail about them. And these many ghosts flocked together from every side about the trench with a wondrous cry, and pale fear gat hold on me. Then did I speak to my company, and command them to flay the sheep that lay slain by the pitiless sword, and to consume them with fire, and to make prayer to the gods, to mighty Hades, and to dread Persephone. And myself I drew the sharp sword from my thigh, and sat there, suffering not the strengthless heads of the dead to draw nigh to the blood, ere I had word of Teiresias. And first came the soul of Elpenor, my companion, that had not yet been buried beneath the wide-wayed earth. For we left the corpse behind us in the hall of Circe, unwept and unburied, seeing that another task was instant on us. At the sight of him I wept and had compassion on him, and uttering my voice, spake to him winged words. Elpenor, how hast thou come beneath the darkness and the shadow? Thou hast come fleeter on foot than I in my black ship. All right, just to summarize what's happening here in this passage, the crew basically have reached the shore as they did yesterday. Odysseus is performing the ritual just as Circe has instructed, digging a pit, pouring libations of all kinds of alcohol. He promises future sacrifices, kills them sheep, and fills the trench with the blood. The blood is what draws the ghosts from Erebus. Odysseus seems to be controlling access to the blood between the blood and the ghosts before he gets word from Teiresias. But before Teiresias, assuming he shows up, the first to show up is Elpenor, the young man of the crew who was killed by falling off the roof at Circe's house. And I guess I didn't anticipate the follow-up to yesterday's point about him confronting the past before being able to move forward so quickly. We talked about in book 10 whether or not Elpenor would play a part in what was going to happen here, because it seemed weird that they just introduced the character to fall off the roof and die, only to then be told they have to go to hell and talk to the dead. So I guess that makes sense. I just didn't expect it to be right away. And I think there's something a little bit lost to time with the translation here of just how important it was to honor the dead and the fallen ones, not necessarily their ghosts, but when someone dies, how much respect you need to show their body through, honor and making sure they have a proper burial in a proper place and given all they need for the afterlife. Because it's not just a whoops-a-daisy that happened with Elpenor at Circe's place. Odysseus and crew had a task at hand to complete and therefore had no choice but to leave Elpenor behind. And therefore, even with that maybe quote-unquote excuse, he still needs to confront what's going on there. One thing I found kind of interesting about this passage is Odysseus's demeanor. As he's telling this story and talks about the ghosts appearing and pointing out that the Butcher and Lang translation does call them ghosts and not shades. As the ghosts start to congregate, Odysseus admits, pale fear gat hold on me. But even amidst that fear, he says that myself I drew the sharp sword and sat there, suffering not the whole strengthless heads of the dead to draw nigh to the blood, ere I had word of Teiresias. So he's protecting this blood to make sure, I mean, I don't really know the mechanics of it, but he doesn't want the other shades to encroach on this blood before he can hear from Teiresias and get what he needs to know to go home. So amidst his fear, he's protecting. He has the, clarity of mind and the steadiness of hand to stand between the dead and his gateway out of there to protect it for him and his own men. And there's these lines here too that are easy to kind of they're so compressed in time that I kind of wish we could stretch them like taffy and really examine them. So when Elpenor appears, Odysseus states, "At the sight of him I wept and had compassion on him, and uttering my voice spake to him winged words." But at the sight of him, so as soon as I saw him, I wept and had compassion on him. He sees one of his men who has just perished not very long before they arrive on these shores. And upon seeing him, unable to control his emotion, Elpenor probably representing a lot of things to Odysseus in that moment, his responsibility, all that's happened over, the 10 years of Troy, all the fallen soldiers. Like, Elpenor is symbolic of a lot of things. And, Odysseus isn't being stoic here. He isn't being macho. He sees him and he weeps. That says something about his character. Now, again, he's the one telling the story, but when he sees Elpenor, he isn't just like, yeah. How do I get out of here? He takes a moment to speak some respectful words to him. Mostly, well, we'll see what happens tomorrow, but here, mostly just speaking from astonishment. Like, hey, how did you beat us here? We had a fast ship, and you got here on foot faster than I did. But we've got the shades starting to come forth, and hopefully Teiresias will appear and give Odysseus what he needs to know to get home. So join me here tomorrow with a little bit more of Book 11 as we linger here with the dead. Until then, okay, goodbye. Odyssey is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. The show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Odyssey, written by Homer. Theme song by Neuroflow. You can support this show and other shows like it by going to patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.